Okay. All right. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to do the slide block that you see here. And so what it's asking for is actually just the 2D view of it. So it's asking create the front sketch of the design. So that's all we have to do. We don't need to make a 3D model. Now, in order to do that, what I will do with AutoCAD is I'm going to be working in this default view, which is the top. I'm going to go to my home, and a couple of things I recommend you do. Let me make sure you have access to. I just want to set my settings up. So bear with me one quick moment here while I do the settings. So what I would do is when I have my settings, I always go to the object snap. I have the endpoint, midpoint, center, and then these other intersection and the polar tracking. These are the two things that I rely on. All right. And then the other thing is, I have my properties. I type in properties, so that's here. So let's go ahead and minimize this down again. And so what I need to do is start at 0. And so there's a couple things here that I can work with. This is kind of a unique one. So I guess what I'll do is I'll start at this bottom left, and I'll kind of work my way around. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, remember, when I start on AutoCAD, there is no scale. It's like you're in the middle of the Milky Way. So sometimes things are very small, so we have to just kind of figure out where they are. So I'll go ahead and type in 0, 0, enter. I selected that line tool, and now I'll kind of scroll out, and I can see the numbers 26, right? So I'm just gonna scroll, and I'm just gonna go to the right. I'm gonna move my mouse to the right. I'm gonna type in 4.5, and these are in inches or imperial. Enter, and then what I'll do then, if you see, wow, it looks really small, so I'll go ahead and just zoom in on that. It's still active. I'll come up here and I'll type in 1 for obviously 1 inch, enter. Now, a couple of things I can do. I can just stop, and what I need to do is make a 60-degree angle with a part that's 3.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is I could just, if you look here carefully, it's showing me the angle. So in theory, I could point my mouse at 180 minus 60, right? 120 degrees. Let's see if that works. I don't think that's going to work here. Yeah, that's not going to work. So a couple things I can do. Let's just hit escape, and then just for the sake of argument, so I can show you ways to do this. I'll click my mouse on that point, and I'm going to type in 3.5 inches, right? Enter. Then I'll hit escape. So I've got this. Now what I need to do is rotate it, right? So this is one way of doing it. So I need to rotate it. If you see here, it's 60 degrees. So I'm going to type in rotate, R-O-T-A-T-E. Reading the command line or what it says here, select the object, enter. The base point is at that point right here, at that end point. And so the angle is going to be, I always mess this up. Let's type in minus 60 and see what happens. I think that's it. Nope, I want to go the other way. So type in rotate, select the object, push enter, select the base point, which is right here, and type in 60, which goes counterclockwise, all right? And so I want to see my command line. It's not visible, so let's drag that up a little bit. Okay, let's go back to where it was. Okay, so command line's there. Now, it's probably a good idea right now. Let's just go ahead and let's measure all this so I'm not getting too far ahead of myself. Make sure that we're okay. And again, don't worry about the tolerance of your dimension right now. We're just verifying things. Make sure we're okay. What you don't want to do is get too far ahead of yourself where you're working and then you realize, wait, that's not right. So let's check out that 3.5. So that all jives. Let's check the angle here. So what I would do is go select that's a angle. So excuse me. So not the diameter, the angle right here. And so I might just need to figure this out. Right. So there's 60. And so the font's a little big. That's why the arrow. So I can do something like that. Okay, that looks good. So far, so good. I don't know this. It doesn't tell me. So I'm going to just do the same thing on the other end here. So I'm going to make a line 1.5 inches. And I'm going to rotate it 60 degrees. So I'll take a line. That happened to be my 0, 0. So I can type in 0, 0, enter. I'm going to draw a line. Now you could, again, it shows you the 60 degrees. So the 120. So in theory, I could like put it at 120 and then type in 1.5. I think you're living a little dangerous when you do that. Let's see what happened here. Let's just try that. I generally don't do that because it's a lot of wishful thinking, but it works. So that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it would just be to take a line, type in 1.5 because we know that's the dimension. And then I would rotate that line. So I'd say rotate. I know I'm showing you kind of more information than you need. And then I would rotate this, and the angle is going to the right. So it'd be minus 60 or clockwise. So kind of two ways of doing things. So probably the second way of doing things is better. Again, I apologize that I'm doing this twice. So what I would do then is start at 0, 0, enter, make a line that goes in 1.5 inches, enter, escape. And then I would type in rotate. There's also icons up here on your menu bar, enter, select the line. All right, base point is going to be at my 0, 0, and then clockwise is positive, or right. So that's, did I do this right? Now I'm all confused. 60 degrees. All right. Minus 60 degrees, silly. Rotate, select the object, and 0, 0, type in minus 60. So clockwise is minus. Don't ask me why. Somebody might know. Okay, so now all I need to do is close this up. So I'll just close that up because it doesn't give us that dimension anyway. And so now I'll just dimension this. I also have to draw the circles. So let's just go ahead here and just verify everything. Make sure we're right. 1.5, that looks good. My angle, let's do it like this. And it should be 60 degrees. So I want to avoid text overlap. So I'll do it like this. Let's take this line. Let's drag it out a little further. Okay, I still need to change the tolerances. Now I'm going to draw my circle. So what I know about the circles is this one is, it's 1 point. So I take 4.5 minus 3.5, it's 1 inch. So it's 1 inch over and 1 inch up. So I'm going to take my circle, and this is a diameter. So if I select the arrow circle, I want to make sure that it says circle diameter. Obviously, I could figure it out with radius. Let's just not have to figure all that out. So I select circle diameter, and it wants to know on the bottom, where is my center point? So I already figured it out. It's 1, 1, because the 0, 0 is that bottom corner, bottom left corner, enter. That looks pretty good. Now it says the diameter is 1 on the drawing, right? The diameter is 1. So I just type in 1, enter. So before I get too carried away, let's just confirm that here. So let's just do the diameter. All right, so that looks good. While we're here, let's just verify the height. Okay, we actually want to put a little gap here. We could adjust that, but it's easier. Usually easiest just to do it on the fly here. And then we'll do one on the bottom. So we want to make that 3.5. So I'm dimensioning it as per the drawing, but I'm also verifying it, right? That's kind of what I'm doing here. So it doesn't want to be helpful. So I can either go up and then drag it back down, or the bottom. And so always remember, the biggest numbers are always going to be on the outside. Okay, I need to make another circle. And so this is going to be, that's my 0. It's going to be 3.5, and it's up 0.5. So I'll take my circle. Again, it's the diameter. If it's a full circle, it's always going to be a diameter. And so I'll go ahead and make a circle. Again, circle diameter, sorry. Circle diameter. And my first point is going to be, X is going to be, we said, that's going to be, sorry, I just got myself a little confused, 3.5, comma, and it's up Y 0.5. Okay, enter. All right, that looks good. And diameter is 0.5. That's what it says. And so let's just go ahead and verify that. So in theory, I'm basically done here. I just need to dimension and fix all the dimensions. So then I'll go to diameter, just verify 0.5. And again, don't worry about the tolerances. We can fix that later. And then I'm going to select on the ribbon above, I'll select linear, and let's go to the center, and let's go to the this side. That's one. You want to make sure that you maintain those spaces. All right. So you always want to have those spaces, and then the height of this. And then again, I could probably change the setting. I guess I'm just a little lazy. You want to have that gap there. Here you want to have the same gap. So, and if you don't have the center circle, that snap, what you do is you go up here to dimension and you say center mark, right? So it should be there. If it's not, that's how you get it activated. You go to dimension, center mark, and that will be there. Okay. So one more dimension to go, it looks like. And that's going to be the height of this. And of course I didn't do that right. Let's try that again. So I'm going to go to the center and the bottom, and good. Now I'm just going to clean that up just a tad. Just typical typical dimensioning. You always want to have the spaces. All right. So now what I need to do is change the overall. I don't need to worry about the Z axis. It's just 2D here. So let's first change the tolerances. And if you notice the diameter 0.5, we want to change that to 0.5 on that leading. So I'm going to go to format, dimension style, modify, and the sizing looks good. It's actually a little big, but you know, if you're really like it's too big, I'm just going to maybe make this 0.8. That'll make it a little smaller. I don't really think it was all that necessary, but just to show you how that's done. And then the primary units, we're going to round off to hundredths. And then if you notice this, there's no 0 before, so I'm gonna get rid of the suppression leading. Okay, so that should be good. I'll say okay. Excuse me, set current and close, and voila, that looks pretty good here. So the diameter, everything looks pretty good. Now I need to adjust the line weight, right? So line weight on this, the ribbon below, just make sure that the line weight is selected right there. And then you'll see this here, and that I'm going to turn it on. Right now it's off. I haven't done anything, so it's not a big deal. I'm going to very carefully go around and select the, I think there's 5 lines here. And I think that's, oh, and I also need to select the part line, the center. So the outside and then the circle. And then I'll go to, on my properties, I'll go to line weight. I'm going to select 0.50, right? And so if you're not seeing it when you change it, that's because this has been turned off. And I think I am good here. It's always a good idea to double check it. So a couple things, you know, you could in theory move this in here, but it's probably a little tight. If you wanted to be super duper accurate here, well, that worked. You could always make it smaller, but I think that worked. You know, those are things that I would not take off on. But that looks pretty good. Always avoid any text overlap though. Like for example, if this was on top, you want to avoid that kind of a thing. So avoid any text overlap. Make sure that you have gaps from the part line. If you don't, what usually means is instead of selecting, you selected at the wrong place. So you just want to fix all that. I'm going to center all this. Now I'm going to go ahead. Obviously I need to save it, but I'm going to go Control P or File Print, or I can hit this icon up here. And I'm going to continue single sheet. First thing I want to do is select my printer. I'm doing an AutoCAD PDF. This should be there whenever you install the software. And now I'm going to leave it default. You could do display, but you're much better off doing window. This kind of gives you a little bit more control because you want to make sure it fills the page. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to preview it before I do anything. That looks good. It's not quite centered, but it's certainly pretty good here. So I'm satisfied with that.
That says center plot.
Okay, you can center the plot. So by doing that, what you just have to be careful when you do the window.
It's right there, like right near there. Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Right. So let's do the window. Let's double check this. And that's good. With a window, it changes things a little bit. There we go. Okay, so good. Let's go print. And I want to put this in a folder. So what you want to do though is when you do it, I'm going to go ahead and put it in my, I've got a folder for all this fun stuff here. So just bear with me 1 second. I put it in this. This is chapter one, and we call this the SliderBlock. So I'm going to make a folder here. So it's good, you know, it's always good to have a organization. So I'm going to type in SliderBlock. I can spell, okay. And what I'll do is I'm just going to copy that out of here, actually. My keyboard, Control C, and I'm going to go down here, paste that in, right? And then I will double click here. I should actually rename this, but that's all good. All right, save it. And then what I want to do is, there it is. And you notice it might not look all that great, but as I zoom in, I can see the line weights are good. So far, so good. And then I'll save this. I should have saved that link to where I saved it. Bear with me here. So now I'm going to go to chapter 1 and SliderBlock. I actually want to change that. Can I change the name? They changed the operating rename. Yeah. So just bear with me here. Organization is key. Chapter 1. All right, SliderBlock. And then inside of here, I can't do it because that PDF is outside of it. Try again. Okay, there we go. And I will make my DWG SliderBlock. Cool. Save it. So that's basically the demo. Oops, didn't need that. Then I would obviously upload it into my canvas, but we are good here. I'm going to stop the recording.